Coyote Country News Time 8:07. Erik Peterson from Proven Realty in studio as he is every Tuesday morning to talk real estate. Today, Erik, we want to talk about how to adjust things so that you can be in the right position to sell or buy a house due to the interest rates.
Sounds great.
You say what?
Yeah, exactly. There's a lot of tips and tricks that you can have for best strategies out there to try to sell your house in this market with rising interest rates and less overall demand. Lots of things that you can do. I just came back from a week in Vegas learning from some of the best real estate professionals in the world. Also spent some time in Dallas at a marketing conference. And it's good to know that we're insulated here, as we've discussed previously over the last few weeks, because of oil prices. That's really helped the demand here versus other areas of the country that may be down 20, 30, 40%. The first thing that I would tell you, and I'm a little bit biased of course, is find a pro. Find somebody that knows the market, that has really good experience, that really knows how to sell and market properties professionally. Don't try to do it yourself. Long gone are the days where you could throw your house up on Facebook and get a ton of action on it. We're seeing less success there. I think you need to price it right. That's really the most important thing. If a house in this market, especially in the Williston area, is priced right, you're getting a ton of activity on it right away. We're getting into multiple bidding situations again, and it's been really strong. And then I think it really, Tom, comes down to marketing. What channels are you hitting? Are you getting multiple channels out there? We've had really good luck with open houses and videos. 3D walkthrough tours have been really great in this market to kind of keep our client houses top of mind, and then also in this busy world allow people to see a house without actually going into it. So 3D tours have really been helpful as well. And then I would just say, more than anything, come up with a good strategy, follow it, and make sure that you're casting a wide marketing net. And by that I just mean making sure you're on all the channels. We've had really good success on Craigslist and email campaigns and some of these other pay-per-click advertising channels.
You want to think about reducing the price of your house, your listing, to get more eyeballs on that listing. But does reducing that price necessarily mean that you're going to get a lower price?
It's really a great question. We've been seeing a lot of prices actually go higher than the asking price based on bidding situations there. Right now, if you take a look at the stats year over year compared to last September, those numbers are now out. It's really interesting that depending on the price range of your house and where it's located and the features, of course, that it has, that can really bode well for you. In that up to $250,000 range, for example, we're seeing less demand in that range, simply because it's related to those folks are typically not the ones that can afford a house right away. Every 1% gain in interest rates is a 10% reduction of purchasing power. So up to 250 slowed down a little bit. 250 to 400 is still strong. And believe it or not, the 400 to 499 range is really been the strongest with an increase over last year. So that question's a little bit loaded in the fact that it comes down to what your price is, what your house is priced or your property's priced. So I think that as we move forward, there's going to be more downward pressure on houses. And we've been seeing houses come in that 95 to 98% of asking price range. So depends on the house is really the loaded question or the loaded answer there, but it really just depends.
And how important is it that you find a comparable when you go to when you're thinking about pricing your house?
Yeah, it's really important. Obviously, everybody has a number that they would want to get out of a house and a number that they need to get out. How much do you owe on it? How much do you need to move into another property? It really comes down to pricing it the right way. The only way that you're going to get that is a comparative market analysis. Look at several more than one. Look at 4 or 5, as many as you can. Get the data. That will help you determine what your house is like. But just because that's what the computer shows, every single house is different. How well has it been taken care of? What kind of upgrades you have? The extra features and amenities are really what separates those houses from everybody else and get you that higher percentage of list price.
So let's say, and we're talking with Erik Peterson of Proven Realty. Let's say, Erik, that I find 6 comparables.
Yep.
Where should I price my house? At the top, at the bottom, in the middle?
Yeah, we typically have a range, and I think it depends. Oftentimes, if you do a CMA, a comparative market analysis, you're going to get a range of 10 to 15,000. What we try to do is get as many eyes in there as well to have different opinions on it. We all have different buyers, we all have different experience, and so yes, I typically shoot for about 70% of what the range is to give you a little bit of room for negotiation, but it really just depends on the house and the current market for that particular property.
How important is it, and this is a softball question, but it's a question that needs answering. How important is it that you choose the right agent to represent you? Because even in this market that we're in, people might think, well, it really doesn't matter. It's a hot market. Williston it's going to sell.
Yeah, I would say that's the biggest decision for you is who to choose if you're going to go and hire a realtor. The most important thing is to find one with experience, going to give you the most exposure for your property. And then really what it comes down to me, the secret of real estate is about negotiation. Are they going to be able to get you top dollar? Will they be able to negotiate? Is there other things that you can do additionally as a seller other than just throwing it out there on the market? Like I mentioned before, open houses, video walkthroughs, pay-per-click advertising. Sometimes to get the word out there, you need to pay to play, so to speak. So how much money are you putting in to market that specific property?
One real estate agent who's doing fantastic in another part of the country says this, quote, "Sellers should not be too concerned with interest rates." She's a broker. She says sellers should price their home according to where the market is going. Having a good local agent who specializes in working with home sellers will make the pricing process much simpler. A good seller's agent will have a great strategy to get your home under contract fast. You agree?
I mostly agree with that. I think that's exactly important to have a good agent that will continue to market your property. But as they said in the financial services industry that I was in for 15 years, you never want to catch a falling knife. In other words, if your knife fell off the table and you went to catch it, there's a lot of damage there. So it really comes down to how strong is the local market, where are things trending. I just spent a week in Dallas, Texas, spent a lot of time with agents that are down there, an entirely different market than we're at now. But they start off listing a house in Austin, Texas, for example, at 20% of the value of where it was last year. And at the 2-week mark, if you haven't had a significant offer, they cut it another 20%. So that strategy works in most markets, but if the market continues to go down and trend downward, you certainly don't want to lower your price expecting prices to go down.
The question is for here in Williston is at what point do you move that price down? Because we all know, even the novices of us know that the longer a house stays on the market, the harder it is to sell.
Yes, sir. That's a great question. A lot of folks, the very first thing they look to is the days on the market. Typically right now in September, 25 to 60 days is the average that a house is coming under contract. We typically tell our clients, when you list your house, if you're not getting significant action, including an offer in 2 to 3 weeks, we're going to do systematic price reductions at that price. But it also really depends. We're still right now in a neutral market. We've got about, depending on the price range, 2.5 to 3 months left of inventory, and it's defined as up to 3 months is typically a seller's market, 3 to 4 to 5 months is considered kind of a neutral market, and then anything above that is a buyer's market. So depending on the price range, we're not technically in a seller's market yet. So if you price it correctly and as you would in a neutral market, you'll have the most success typically.
So if I'm a first-time home buyer, and let's say I've moved here to Williston, I've increased my income tremendously, which most people who move here have increased, and maybe even come off of unemployment.
Yep.
What do I do? What's the first thing I do as a first-time home buyer with a good income to get into a house?
Yeah, that's great. Good question. What I would recommend is going to find a lender. We prefer local lenders here that can lend in Williston, that you can go into, have a face-to-face meeting. Don't be afraid to shop rates. Talk to a couple of different local lenders. Find out what you can actually qualify for and also what you're comfortable with. As we mentioned previously, just because you could qualify for $400,000 doesn't mean you need to spend that much. So live within your means, especially headed into winter. You don't want to be in a situation where maybe you get hours cut or you get laid off. We're not exactly sure where oil prices and where kind of the market's going for the employment here. So just make sure to get pre-qualified, find a couple of houses you like, find a realtor that can help you with that, narrow down the search, and then put in the best offer you can. And as a seller, you can expect that the buyer, especially first-time home buyers, are going to need some kind of a seller-paid closing cost credit at close to get that financing, just to make it easier for them to qualify so that they don't have to come up with as much cash down at closing day.
And if I have a ding on my credit, what then?
Yeah, ding on your credit, depending on what type of a ding. Bankruptcies and foreclosures typically have 5 to 7 years, depending on the type of bankruptcy and foreclosure. Try to get your credit up. Make sure that you have consistency in your employment. If you're jumping jobs around, that's a lot harder to qualify. Typically a 2-year look back for the type of job that you have is what most lenders are looking for when it comes time to underwrite. But you can overcome those dings in the credit. You just need more money down and you'll certainly pay a higher interest rate.
So bring cash to the party.
Yeah, if you can bring cash to the party, the more money you can put down, the better. You also want to get out of that mortgage insurance as well. So typically if you have more than 20% down, you can avoid mortgage insurance, which can pay up to $100 to $150 a month in savings.
All right, interest rates still going up. You say what to the folks that are selling and buying right now as they watch this Fed try to curb inflation?
Yeah, that's a great question. We think they're going to continue to trend up. They've kind of bounced around a little bit, trying to figure out where the economy is going overall. If you're a seller, don't be afraid to do a price reduction. Don't be afraid to offer seller-paid closing costs to kind of separate you from the competition. And then certainly as a buyer, one of the sayings that they say is you marry the house and get engaged to the rate, if you will. So if you find a house that you fall in love with, get into that, lock that in. You can always refinance and get a better deal later down the road if interest rates do drop.
Good to talk with you. Thank you for coming by. Look forward to every Tuesday talking real estate.
Thanks for having me again, Tom. It's always fun.
Erik Peterson with Proven Realty EXP. Good to have him with us. 8 o'clock every Tuesday. Stand by for that. Good morning to you. I'm Tom Simon, Williston Trending Topics, Coyote Radio. He's Erik Peterson. We'll see you soon.